Taprakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sigrashritam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savajutam Parisana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakranvitam Chanamam Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaudavani Pracharni Nirvashesha Shunyavadi Pushachari Shatarane Panchakalpatarubhishta Kripa Sindhu Vevajapati Talam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gaurdivisha Namah Panchatattvamakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Surupakam Bhaktyavatar Bhaktyakyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Jayatam Suratur Pangor Mama Mandir Matir Gati Matsavashapanam Bhojo Shri Varavadana Mohano Dibi Bindaranya Kalpadrumada Shrimatra Nagari Sinhashanasto Shriman Radha Shila Govindeva Prishtalivi Sevi Manasmarami Shriman Rasada Sarambi Vang Shivatatastata Karshandenu Svanaya Gopir Gopinata Shvetana Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Vrishavana Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva we offer. So we are reading this morning from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 6. Prahlad instructs his demoniac schoolmates. Text number 5. This verse reads, Tato yateta kushala kshemaya bhavam ashrita shariram parusham yavam na vipadyeta pushkalam. Please repeat. Tata. Therefore, yateta should endeavor. Kushala, an intelligent man, interested in the ultimate goal of life. Shemaya, for the real benefit of life, or for liberation from material bondage. Bhavamashritaha, who is in material existence. Shariram, the body. Paurusham, human. Yavat, as long as. Not. Vipadyeta, fails. Pushkalam, stout and strong. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Therefore, while in material existence, bhavam ashrita, a person fully competent to distinguish wrong from right must endeavor to achieve the highest goal of life as long as the body is stout and strong and is not embarrassed by dwindling. Purport. As stated by Prahlad Maharaj at the beginning of this chapter, Kumara acharit pragya. The word pragya refers to one who is experienced and who can distinguish right from wrong. Such a person should not waste his energy and valuable human lifetime simply working like a cat or dog to develop his economic condition. For one word in this verse, there are two readings, bhavam ashrita and bhayam ashrita, but accepting the meaning of either of them will bring one to the same conclusion. Bhayam ashrita indicates that the materialistic way of life is always fearful because at every step there is danger. Materialistic life is full of anxieties and fear, bhayam. Similarly, accepting the reading bhavam ashrita, the word bhavam refers to unnecessary trouble and problems. For want of Krishna consciousness, one is put into bhavam, being perpetually embarrassed by birth, death, old age, and disease. Thus, one is surely full of anxieties. Human society should be divided into a social system of brahmanas, kshatriyas, vaishyas, and shudras, but everyone can engage in devotional service. If one wants to live without devotional service, his status as brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, or shudra certainly has no meaning. It is said, shtanada prashta patankyadha. Whether one is in higher or lower division, one certainly falls down for want of Krishna consciousness. A sane man, therefore, is always fearful of falling from his position. This is a regulative principle. One should not fall from his exalted position. The highest goal of life can be achieved as long as one's body is stout and strong. We should therefore live in such a way that we keep ourselves always healthy and strong in mind and intelligence, so that we can distinguish the goal of life from a life full of problems. A thoughtful man must act in this way, learning to distinguish right from wrong, and thus attain the goal of life. Tato yateta kushala kshemaya bhavamashrita shariram parusham yavana vipadyeta pushkalam. Therefore, while in material existence, bhavamashrita, a person fully competent to distinguish wrong from right must endeavor to achieve the highest goal of life as long as the body is stout and strong and is not embarrassed by dwindling. So, Shariram parusham yava navi padyeta pushkalam. This is the last line. Lord Maharaj is advising what we should do with this human body while it is stout and strong. He is preaching specifically to his young schoolmates who, hopefully anyway, have a long life ahead of them. This is our hope. When we are young, we think we have a nice long life of many years before us. Now that may not be true. We have only a few seconds left. But anyway, the body is, for the moment anyway, stout and strong. So we see this human civilization, human culture, which has existed on the face of the earth for so many millennium, so many thousands and thousands of years. So in this human culture, various ways have been offered the human being how to expend this energy of the body. Just like last night, I happened to see Manidhar Prabhu has this in his collection, one video of the pyramids of Egypt. So I looked at this. And so we were taken on a tour, video tour, of the great pyramid of Cheops, the pyramid of Giza, which is as high as a 40-story building. And if you've seen this, you know, they showed how if all the stones were taken apart and put in a line, it would stretch across the entire United States and then almost all the way back. So many stones were used to make this pyramid. Now, one of the great mysteries of this great pyramid is how they built it. How so many men could have been assembled at this place in the desert. This is, I remember reading in the past also. It's one of the great mysteries that it must have required, because the pyramid is said to have been built in 23 years. So that must have taken thousands and thousands of them. And how could they have lived in that desert? How could they have had water to drink and food to eat, to do all the work that they must have done to build this pyramid in just 23 years? So anyway, the theme here is work, you see. How we should expend the stout and strong energy of this body. So here is one answer to that question from ancient Egypt. You can build big pyramids out in the desert. And what is the point? So we saw this Omar Sharif, the tour guide. He's going through the pyramid and picking up here some bone, some skull, from the mummies, you see, and showing the camera and saying, "Isn't it amazing? After 5,000 years, this bone is here. This whole pyramid was built to shelter this bone. Why, this is probably exactly the same bone as I have in my body right now." I thought this was interesting too, because also so much effort was made to make this film. Omar Sharif was a big Hollywood star. He had to go out there in the desert with a camera crew and go up and down to the inside of the pyramid to look at bones and compare these bones with the bones in his own body. So you see, what is the use of so much endeavor to build a pyramid, and then 5,000 years later to come with camera crew and investigate the pyramid, and what is the ultimate conclusion? Bones. Marveling over the bones. The Egyptians, they built these pyramids somehow they had some idea to preserve the life or to attain eternal life, but that obviously is useless. Simply some old skeletons now laying in these dusty catacombs underneath the pyramid. So they did not achieve their goal. But actually, as we read here, that is the goal of human life. The goal of the energy of this human body that we have is to attain eternality. But as we see in human history today, and as in the past, human beings are wasting this precious energy of this temporary body, wasting it. They think in some foolish way, some romantic way, that they will attain some kind of eternality, make their mark on the world. Just like the ordinary householders, they think that, well, at least if I can get married and have children, then I will live on in my children and in their grandchildren, and on some romantic speculation like this. But actually they've fallen short of the goal. Performing so many austerities. Human life is meant for austerity, unavoidably. Whether you're building pyramids or whether you're living in Stockholm in 1994 in the midst of this snow and ice, trying to go to work in the morning. Whatever the situation may be, it is tapasya, it is austerity. So there must be a purpose, a good purpose for this austerity. Otherwise, as Prabhupada says here, such a person should not waste his energy and valuable human lifetime simply working like a cat or a dog to develop his economic condition. This is unfortunately what austerity means for most people. The austerity of a cat or a dog. You see? Cat and dog and all the creatures, lower creatures, they're suffering in so many ways. Enduring so many pains, discomforts. Why? For four things: eating, sleeping, mating. This is animal life. So the human being, he can conceive, you see, he can conceive of eternity. He can conceive of eternal life. Every human being, intelligent human being, is somehow or other striving for that goal. But if he's doing it by building a pyramid or making more children or whatever. He's wasting his time. So yes, the goal is to cross from this temporary, perishable existence to the eternal existence. But how to do that? And so here Prahlad Maharaj says that we must expend this human life in endeavor to achieve the highest goal. So Krishna also says the same thing. Shaknurihava yakshodam praksharire vivokshana karma kroda bhavan vegam sayukta sasukhi nara. He says this in the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which means that before you have to give up this body, Shaknuri haivam yakshodam praksharira, sharira means body, vimokshana means give up. So each one of us here, let's take this very directly, each one of us here in this room, now we have a human body. And in this human body there is a clock, or shall we say a time bomb, ticking away. And we don't know when that time bomb will explode and the heart will stop and we will fall over dead. So Krishna says before that time, praksharira vimokshana, before that time when you have to give up this body, then what should you do? Kama kroda bhavam vegam. Now this is very important because Krishna is exactly explaining how to achieve this highest goal of life that Sri Prahlad Maharaj is speaking of. What is it that separates us from this highest goal, the goal of Krishna consciousness? Kama kroda, Krishna says. He says, Kama kroda bhavam vegam. You have to rise above lust. Kama. Kroda means frustration, or it can be taken as the fundamental duality, raga and dvesha, attachment or attraction to material enjoyment and repulsion from it also. Because these two propensities, this is the basic conditioning of our consciousness in this human form. These two propensities, to be attracted by sense objects, and then after trying to enjoy them, getting frustrated by them, and then rejecting them. But that rejection is immediately followed by attraction to some other sense object. So in this way one is going from sense object to sense object to sense object, never finding any satisfaction. Just being, you see, this is Maya. Here we have this precious human body. Here we have a certain amount of energy given to us by the material nature. Here we have that time bomb ticking inside, only so much time. And Maya, she's saying, come on and enjoy. We go to enjoy, and then we just get frustrated. Oh, this was not enjoyable. But then Maya says, never mind that, come on, do something else. So we run to that, try to enjoy it, and again frustrated. And then Maya says, no, try this now. So this way, Maya, she just tempts us on and on and on, until that day comes when Sharira Vimokshana, you have to give up the body. Until the body dwindles away, becomes weak, trembling, infirm, and then finally we're faced with death. By this time, by the end of life, one is practically unable to change his destiny. He spent all of his youth pursuing sense objects uselessly. So by the end of life, he has no strength, he has no determination left to suddenly focus his mind on Krishna. Some people think like that. All right, I'll spend my youth enjoying sense gratification, and only later in life will I become serious. No. If you spend your life, your youthful life in sense gratification, by the time you're old, that's all you'll be able to think of is sense gratification. You probably know the story of Akbar the Great, who asked his minister He had a very intelligent minister, and he asked him, how long is a man's mind attracted to the opposite sex? And the minister replied, right up to the very end. And the great Emperor Akbar, he was surprised. He said, I can't believe this. You mean an old man whose senses don't even function anymore, he'll still be attracted to sex pleasure? And the minister said, yes. And he said, I'll come later, Maharaj, and I'll prove it to you. Just wait. So sometime later, the minister returned to the palace and said, come on, come with me right now, quickly, Your Majesty, and bring your daughter. So the king had a beautiful daughter, young princess. Bring her too. So they went through the streets of Delhi, through the narrow alleyways, and they came to one door, and the minister said, now behind this door, there is an old man who is on his deathbed. He's just leaving his body right now. So we shall enter all together. Your Majesty, myself, your minister, and your beautiful daughter. Now, Your Majesty, as we enter, I want you to look very carefully at the eyes of this old man. Now, see what he looks at when you walk in. So they entered. Now just imagine, here's the king, the great Emperor Akbar, one of the most powerful kings in human history, recorded human history. I mean, before. We're talking about recent, last 3,000 years, that human history, not Vedic history. But anyway, in recorded human history, Akbar the Great is one of the greatest monarchs. So, but the old man, he was not looking at Akbar. He could see full well that Akbar had entered, but his eyes were looking at the young princess. So the king, Emperor Akbar, he was surprised. Yes, you're right. It's a fact. Even at the very end of life, one is attracted to material pleasures. So yes, if we cultivate material sense gratification while the body is stout and strong, then by the end of life, we'll not be able to control our minds. We'll not be able to fix the mind on Krishna. So, then how do we do this? Krishna says, Kama, Krodha, Bhavam, Vegam. Then you have to rise above this duality of sense attraction and sense repulsion. Sayukta, one who does this, Krishna says, he's a yogi, Sasukhi Nara, and among men he is happy, he is actually satisfied. So, how do we do this? So, yes, human life is meant for tapasya. So, does it mean that can be done by tapasya, some kind of austerity, restraining the senses, sitting in a cave, staring at the wall, meditating on one's navel? Is this the method? No, actually, the method is very simple. Simply serve Krishna. Srila Prabhupada taught us one nice verse. Aradito yadi haris tapasya tatta kim. Naradito yadi haris tapasya tatta kim. Antar bahir yadi haris tapasya tatta kim. Nantar bahir yadi haris tapasya tatta kim. A very nice poetic verse in Sanskrit, which states that the first line, Aradito yadi haris. So, what is the use? Tapasya tatta kim. What is the use of austerity? If you are a devotee of Krishna, if you are engaged in Aradito yadi haris, if you're engaged in the worship of Lord Krishna, if this is how you're expending the energy of your body, then tata tapasya kim. Now what is it? You don't have to worry about austerity. You don't have to worry about fasting, standing on your head. Going into the mountains and meditating on the ice or anything like this. Any type of artificial program of sense control. And then the verse goes on to say, Nararito yadi haris tapasa tatakim. And if you're not a devotee of Krishna, also what is the use of your austerity? What is that going to get you? What, some mystic power? Just like the yogi, there's one yogi in India, very well known. So he can produce sweets from his hand. He goes like this, shows there's nothing in the hand, and then some sweet is there. So Prabhupada said, what is this? You can get sweet in the market for 2 paisa. So much austerity to produce 2 paisa sweet. And for this he is called God by so many people. But what is this? So Nararito yadi haris tapasya tata kim. If you're not a devotee of Krishna, and then whatever austerity you may perform, whatever result you may attain from that austerity, mystic power, whatever it may be, it is useless. And then Antarbahir yadi haris tapasya tata kim. Here's a very nice point. That if you can see, Antarbahir means within and without, if you are Krishna conscious, then there is no need for austerity. You have attained everything that is to be attained. By this, Antarbahir yadi haris. By seeing that Krishna is within and without. So in other words, seeing everything, seeing Krishna everywhere. No matter in what situation you may be, if you're always thinking of Krishna, always engaged in Krishna's service, you've attained all that there is to be attained in this human form of life. And again, Nanta yadi haris tapasya tatakim. And if you can see Krishna inside and outside, then what is the use of your austerity? What is the use of this human life? Because human life is meant for austerity. So tata tapasakim is actually also asking, what is the use of your human life? If you're unable to see Krishna within and without. Now what about this? Someone may raise this question. So this sounds to be very esoteric, to see Krishna within and without. Are we sure that we are doing this? Here we are, devotees of Krishna. Obviously you're working so hard here in New Brahmakund. So sometimes we have this doubt. Yes, I'm working so hard, but maybe it is all simply bahir, all external. And internally I'm not remembering Krishna. So maybe, yes, tapasya tatakim, what is the use of what I'm doing? But actually, we should be optimistic, because Srila Prabhupada's position on this question was that the Lord is absolute. We're all serving the Lord's holy name. And this is the Sankirtan movement. So everything we're doing in this movement is service to the Lord's holy name. Whether it's inside the temple in our personal sadhana, or whether we go outside and engage in so many activities, Sankirtan or in the restaurant. But everything we're doing is service to the holy name. And the holy name of the Lord is absolute. Srila Prabhupada explained in a conversation in London in 1973 that if one fixes himself externally, so to speak, in other words, if he is engaging his body, because that's the theme of this verse, we have this body has energy. So you engage your body, the energy of this body, in service to Krishna's holy name. And you expend all of your bodily energy in this service. 24 hours a day. Working for this Sankirtan movement. Srila Prabhupada explained, because the holy name is absolute, you see, There's no difference between Krishna's inside and outside. So because the holy name is absolute, if we engage the energy of this body in the service of the holy name, then internally we will be purified. Internally we will become fixed in Krishna consciousness. It is not that there is some duality between internal and external. Don't let anyone persuade you that, oh, you poor devotees, you work so hard, but inside you're missing everything. To cultivate Krishna consciousness inside, you have to do something special, something esoteric. And actually, if you do that special, esoteric, internal, raganuga, whatever it may be, then you don't need to do all this external work. Then you can be very relaxed and think of Krishna and cry. So some people may say like this, but Srila Prabhupada never said like this. So Raganuga or no Raganuga, we must be Prabhupada-nuga. We must follow Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada said, if we expend our energy in serving the holy name by following the regulative principles, chanting 16 rounds daily, attending the program, and otherwise giving all of the power of this body to this Sankirtan mission, then because the Lord's holy name is absolute, it will act within, it will act internally, and you will be purified. And that is what Lord Chaitanya says in the Shikshashtakam. That's the whole point of the Shikshashtakam. If you analyze from verse 1 to verse 8, you see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is beginning in verse 1 in his Shikshashtakam, explaining about purifying the mind by chanting Hare Krishna mantra in Sankirtan. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtan. He's explaining how Chaitodarpana Marga, you know about this, how the mind becomes purified and how the blazing fire of material existence is doused, and how everything auspicious comes upon the living entity by chanting the holy name. And then step by step, he takes us along the development of chanting Hare Krishna until finally by verse 8, he is speaking of the most confidential, loving ecstasy of Vipralamba Seva, the mood of Srimati Radharani and the Gopis. This is developed by Nam Seva, by service to the holy name in the Sankirtan movement. So there is no duality. We should not think that simply we are working so hard externally and nothing is coming internally. No, we are being purified at every step. This is also there in the Shikshashtakam. At every step of our service to the holy name of the Lord, we are being purified. We are actually drinking nectar. Now, why don't we taste the nectar for a moment? A moment that is also explained, because we are diseased. Rupa Goswami compares our material disease to jaundice. So Shitapi Avidya, that verse, he says that just as one has jaundice, then something that is sweet, rasgula, it tastes bitter because of the effect of the disease. Yet rasgula is the cure. If you take rasgula when you have jaundice, that will cure you, and you know that you're becoming cured because gradually the rasgula starts to taste sweet. As soon as the sweet taste reappears on the tongue, you know, it's getting better. So in the beginning, we're serving the holy name, but we may not have taste. It may even be bitter. And that's when we think, something must be wrong here. I'm working so hard externally, but internally, there's no taste. No, but that's because you're diseased. We must take the humble position. That is because of our diseased condition. So, what should we do? We have to keep working hard. We have to keep taking the cure. That is the meaning of sadhana. Sadhana means you taste or no taste, but you must do it. When the doctor gives us also, when we're sick, We go to the doctor and he gives us some medicine and he gives us some instructions how to deal with this disease. So this curative process may be unpleasant. We may not like to do it. The medicine may be very bad tasting, and he tells us to refrain from eating certain foods and only eat these foods, and the foods that we're supposed to eat we may also not like. We may also hanker for these other foods that we cannot eat. So many inconveniences may be there in taking the cure, but you have to do it. If you want to be cured, you have to do it. If you're a complete fool, and you think, oh, it is too much trouble, I will not do this, then you'll never get cured. It's that simple. And that is the mission of this human form of life, to get cured. As defined by Lord Krishna himself. We have the time that we have within this human body to rise above Kama and Krodha and become established in yoga and Krishna consciousness and become happy. We have only this much time. So one must become serious. Don't put it off. Don't think, oh, let me enjoy today. This is too much trouble. You may not have it tomorrow. So these are Prahlad Maharaj's instructions to his young schoolmates to take life seriously, become Krishna conscious. Are there any questions?
Regarding the 10 offenses against the holy name, if you can just hear the Hare Krishna mantra, are you then avoiding the offenses ultimately?
Yeah, that's a good point. If one actually hears, if one is actually hearing. So Srila Prabhupada explained that hearing means that the sound vibration of the holy name is the only focus of our attention. That is real hearing. Not that the hearing, the holy name is entering the ears, but the activities of our mind are pushing the vibration back out of the ears. Srila Prabhupada said, because he was asked, what should we think of as we chant Hare Krishna? Srila Prabhupada said that hearing means thinking. If you simply hear the holy name, that is your thinking of Krishna. See, Prabhupada would not even accept thinking of Krishna while hearing the Hare Krishna mantra. In other words, having some thoughts, some Krishna conscious thoughts going on in the mind while chanting japa. No. One should chant and hear, and that's all. And that is your thinking of Krishna. So if one does this, then there's no possibility of offenses. If one commits this offense, pramada, inattention, then immediately he makes possible all the other offenses. Any other question? No, repeat.
Should one reject this internal life of the devotee? Or this? I'm not sure I understood completely.
Yes. Well, my point is that there is no duality. The internal cultivation of Krishna consciousness is included within the sadhana bhakti that we have received from Srila Prabhupada. We should never think that Srila Prabhupada, seeing that we were so neophyte, he only gave us the process up to a certain point. And then when we reach that point, we have to look elsewhere. We have to investigate or experiment or go outside of ISKCON, find some Babaji in Radhakund and ask him, now what do I have to do? Srila Prabhupada gave us everything. Now the question is whether or not we're practicing everything that Prabhupada gave us. That's another question. If we're not actually putting into practice everything Srila Prabhupada gave us, then naturally there will be some lack. We will feel some lack within. But don't blame the process Prabhupada gave us for that. You have to blame yourself for not fully accepting it.
Because I want to reflect on what is my internal perception of things. What do I think about something? I don't want just to do something and then not consider why am I doing this.
Yes, so therefore Srila Prabhupada said we have our, what do you call, the ISKCON sandwich. In the morning there is class, in the evening there is class. Maybe not here, but it should be that way. Because in the morning and before you start your daily activities, you hear Srimad Bhagavatam and you can put questions, have your questions answered, and then you go and do your seva in the day. And more questions may arise in the mind, more, problems or whatever, doubts. So then in the evening, there's another class. You can go to that class and hear and satisfy your questions. So here's the illustration, how in the process that Prabhupada gave us, everything is there, both internal and external cultivation of devotional service. And they cannot be separated. There's actually no duality between them. You either follow the whole process or you're not following it properly.
Was this process specially set up by Srila Prabhupada for us living here now in the Western world?
Well, this is, some adaptation is there, but it is standard. It is standard sadhana bhakti. What is, bhakti means to serve the deity. So this is what we're doing. Deity means the murti, but deity also means, in this age, the holy name. So this is the Sankirtan movement. We're serving the deity. Krishna, what is that? Kali Kali. Anyway, I forgot. Krishna Avatar. There's a verse in which it is stated that in this age of Kali, Krishna descends. The Krishna Avatar is Harinam, the holy name. So, this is the purpose of the Sankirtan movement, to serve this avatar of Krishna. Just like the Murti, Shri Shri Gaurnitai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna. This is also the Archa Avatar, the avatar of the Lord in the form of a Murti. So this is what bhakti is all about, to serve the deity. So we're doing this. So Srila Prabhupada has established the ISKCON sadhana as a means by which all devotees serve the deity. The deity on the altar and the deity in the form of the holy name. Anything else? Srila Prabhupada ki jai.